So let's begin then with hydrocolonialism. The term riffs off post-colonialism, and like that concept has a wide potential remit, which could include, colonization by way of water, various forms of marine imperialism, colonization of water, occupation of land with water resources, the declaration of territorial waters, the militarization and geopoliticization of oceans, and the weaponization of water. A colony, it could be a colony on or in water, the ship as a miniature colony or the penal island, and it's also, I think, could touch on the colonization of the idea of water itself and how water becomes turned into a secular resource. Now, while the word hydrocolonialism is an invention, there are two related uses encountered on the web. The first is hydrocolony, apparently a Canadian term for a workers' housing estate on a hydroelectric plant. And the second is a grammatically incorrect synonym for hydrocolonic, that is colonic irrigation, that at times appears as hydrocolonial irrigation. And I think both of these terms raise pertinent themes of political and ecological waste making. One may of course ask whether we need this term hydrocolonialism. It has long been appreciated that water is centrally implicated in imperial and other social orders. Water sculpts political authority, whether in the ancient hydraulic empires of Central Asia, the water dynasties of South India, the rain-making chieftaincies of Southern Africa, or the modernist hydrological projects of the colonial and post-colonial world. Geographers and anthropologists have thickened understanding of water as an informed material implicated in hydronationalism, struggles around citizenship, settler hydrologies, and hydrocosmologies. The hydrological cycle has been widened to become the hydrosocial cycle. This configuration tracks how H2O becomes the social substance water, shaped as much by capital as by contours. Dilip de Kuna and Anuradha Mathur have freed the hydrological cycle from the fiction of neatly divided land and water, and working within a monsoon context, they demonstrate, quote, an ecosystem which is neither land nor water, but one of ubiquitous wetness in which rain is held in soil, aquifers, glaciers, snowfields, building materials, agricultural fields, air, and plants and animals. So while these rich bodies of work are indispensable to sociologies of water, they do not especially address literary concerns, the discipline from which I come. So modeling itself on post-colonial theory with its cultural remit, hydrocolonialism proposes a literary agenda and point of entry. Its focus is to create a more thoroughgoing intersection between post-colonial and oceanic approaches. With the exception of Caribbean studies, much post-colonial theory remains land-focused. Where oceans do feature, they constitute a conduit really for human activity at sea, more surface than depth. This book aims to add water and depth to post-colonial studies, bringing in oceanic themes where these are absent and moving below the waterline to complicate surface analyses. So put it in slightly different terms, I think hydrocolonialism takes up the post-colonial imperative to move away from a colony-metropole binary and to trace multi-directional, empire-wide interactions, and seeks then to explore these themes in relation to water. So I think one way to pursue this objective is to overlay the hydrological cycle onto imperial and post-imperial cartographies, to think hydrologically in and across empire, I think to work laterally, vertically, and contrapuntally between different water worlds and hydro-imaginaries. So cast in different terms, it superimposes the hydrological cycle on empire. So let me just take two terms here, vertical and contrapuntal, as organizing devices for the remainder of the talk. The two, of course, being related, since a hydrocolonial contrapuntalism would be as much vertical as horizontal. So let's start then with the vertical or the depth. And a rich and growing field of methods that seek to go below the waterline. This latter body of scholarship makes visible the deep-seated land and human orientation of much research. Terming these dry technologies, this work seems to immerse concepts and theories to produce new modes of analysis. This immersion takes different analytical forms. Scholars like Melody Dewey and Stacia Limo literally go underwater using experiences of diving to relativize land-based epistemic perspectives. Others travel underwater analytically rather than actually in order to conceptually displace technologies, dry technologies like writing, inscription, photography, databases, and to arrive or relativize understandings of those. A related strategy involves thinking with species, so thinking with kelp or thinking with starfish or thinking with coral to generate new viewpoints on old topics. Many models of black hydropoetics explore the afterlives of Atlantic slavery via aquafuturism, which obviously riffs on Afrofuturism, and a multi-species submarine world. Jason Taylor's now very famous submerged sculptures off the coast of Cancun have become a focus for investigating submarine aesthetics, a field explored by a rapidly growing number of underwater artists using performance, visual, and sonic media.